Hey, Troy here with Watershed Fly Shop. We're going to be tying a two-station intruder. I guess that is the definition of an intruder, according to some people. But yeah, it's a cool little bug. Go ahead and fast forward it through stuff that you already know. It is a long video, so stick with us, bear with us here, and decent amount of material can all be found on watershedflyshop.com. Thanks, guys. Okay, we're gonna start out with a classic tube from Pro Sport Fisher. I use these classic tubes a lot, and it's because they're really versatile. I like to be able to put the tungsten raw weights in the back here if I need more weight on my fly. And keep in mind where we fish a lot of like small little buckets that hold fish, and so having that additional weight is really, really nice. I'm gonna just start out with a dubbing loop in the back for just a little hot spot in the back there. This is gonna be a really bright fly, so I'm finding that sometimes I can't tie a fly too bright. Some of these flies that I've tied of late really surprise me just in the amount of action they get from fish. I'm just going to pick that out a little bit. Not overly picky on that. Encourage you not to be overly picky on your dubbing ball in the back. It's not that big of a deal to make it pretty. Barely going to see it. Well, I should mention we're working with 50D from Vivus. It just comes in white and black, so it is a little bit limiting that way, but in all honesty, it is an awesome thread. Okay, golden pheasant, fluorescent pink. Just gonna take the back portion of this pretty much off of the stem and get to where I can tie down a smaller piece of the stem. I'm going to put it in by the tip. Tie it right on top there. Let me go ahead and tie this down the tube a little ways, just okay. Wrap it, make sure it's kind of even all the way around. And your thread up and over. All right. Spread those out a little bit, and this is just going to act as a prop for our Lady Amherst. We're going to throw in there real quick, just natural Lady A from Hairline, and I'm going to put kind of 2 on top, 2 on bottom, in a hobo spay style. if you will. And these can be kind of a pain, in all honesty, to work with. They like to turn and twist and be irritating. Just gonna put it right up against that golden pheasant. Turn my tube in the vise. It's the beauty of tubes. I have a rotary vise here, but it's not true rotary. So in other words, it doesn't keep the hook or tube or whatever you're tying on in the exact same spot if you rotate the vise. Okay. I don't put these in with hard wraps in case I need to move them around. Okay, put those right up against the golden pheasant. Then come in and trim everything. Boom. Preferably without cutting your thread. That's generally a pretty good idea. Just gonna make my way. One thing that this 50D can do is come unbuttoned a little bit on you. It's multi-stranded. So that's what it did there. That's okay. I am fine with that. It will eventually come back together. Now just turn that a little bit. I'm going to put a couple horns in there. Measure them out to my heart's desire. I like these things hanging off the back a little ways. Honestly, it just looks super cool. And you know, you wouldn't think they'd last, especially when you get a fish on them. But honestly, I've been surprised so far. This is a fly that I, just been dinking around with, working on, like nerdy little fly tires like myself do, and just really can't tell you enough that these things actually do stay. I think I haven't touched a ton of fish this winter. It's been slow so far, but I think I've got 4 or 5 fish that I've had on for a significant amount of time. Landing them has been difficult this year, but gonna tie the stems down the tube just for more security. Anyhow, I've only had one set come off, and I fished this fly a lot and had multiple fish on the same fly. So it's pretty impressive. I'm just kind of tapering things off here. I generally don't fish the same fly more than once in consecutive days or anything like that, but honestly, this fly, I've tied this in blue and black, and I think I've had it on the same rod 3 consecutive trips now, which is pretty darn impressive. So I tie them because I think they look super cool, but they've actually been really durable, much more durable than putting the horns on the front station, which is surprising. You'd think these things would just come right off, but in my experience so far they haven't, and that's good. Just tying wire in, ultra wire. Tied mylar in right before that. Sorry, I'm tacking and winding my thread at the same time. This is going to be a long video, so don't be afraid to fast forward through all my lame conversation. I'm not offended, I promise. The first wrap on this is the most important. Get it right up against the feather there. This is Opal Mirage, and it is bright, really bright. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's bright, believe me. Body of this fly is relatively long. We're gonna put some saddle hackle in the body. Do you need the saddle hackle? That's a good question. That's completely up to you. If you want the saddle hackle, put it in. It's one more thing to fall apart on your fly, but you know, it looks pretty cool, so I'm gonna put it in. And I think it kind of fits with just having a little bigger profile. Cool. Nice thing about this mylar is you can kind of move it around a little bit, and you can see there's some indentation, and I can just take that right out with my finger. Okay. We are going to cover that body up, so I probably shouldn't get too anal about it. Put in my saddle right here. If you are going to use saddle, ooh, it's moving on me. I have to button that down a little better. Make sure and tie that stem down really good, because it likes to move. Just make your way down. Try not to trap any fibers. Just make your way down woolly bugger style. I picked kind of a short piece of saddle. That's why this kind of looks like amateur hour here. Gonna go right over the top of it. Over each one, and just kind of spin this guy up. Bring your bodkin in there if you like. Separate it, so you don't tie too much of the feather down to the tube. Like that. There we go. Just woolly bugger style. It's like you'd tie a woolly bugger. If you haven't tied a woolly bugger, well, tie one. Tie one before you tie this. That's probably a really good idea. Helicopter it, come right off. Cut that rear back. Just go in and untrap any of those feathers and any of that good stuff. Okay. Looks good enough. Cut that stem back. Tie that down. Another dubbing loop for our fox. Okay, we're gonna have fox in there, but in the fox we're gonna put, just for our flash other than the body, we're gonna put this ripple ice fiber in it. Both of them. Let's just boom. How about that? All right. Now you don't have to use this ripple ice fiber. You could just put the fox in, and I would give you at least a B. But if you want an A, you must put in the ripple ice fiber. Yes, you are being graded. Send us your fly, and we will tell you yay or nay. Okay, I got my fox, got my ripple ice. I'm ready for a big mess. Cut that out. Now we're going to put in our dubbing loop. There's our ripple ice. It's all facing me, but it'll be all over the place soon enough. Spread that fox and ripple ice out in your loop with a bodkin. You could normally do the fox just with your fingers, but that ripple ice complicates things quite a bit. Okay, I don't want it overly long, so I'm just gonna hold back there. I'm gonna move my saddle out of the way, and I'm gonna spin it on up. I hold back here until I can feel just a lot of tension, and then I spin it. This is a great tool for that purpose. I mean, this is just honestly, I think it's the least expensive spinner on the market, dubbing spinner, and I feel like it does the best job. Wet your hands with a cup of water, preferably, not saliva like I just did, because that's gross. Alright, you're starting to find out why these intruders are starting to cost $10, $12, $15 a piece. There's a lot of time and effort put into them. You know, it's just the way it is if you want it done right. And I mean, this material that I'm using is definitely grade A stuff. So you could put I would say you could put a little less fox in there overall. The more fox, kind of the worse it gets as far as sinking. So just keep that in mind. I put maybe just a hair more fox than I maybe would normally do, but that ripple ice fiber likes to get all over the place. And once that ripple ice fiber is kind of covered up, it actually looks really cool. Just picking out any trapped fibers. Again, use that fast forward version on that part if you can. Or hang with me and, you know, listen to me jabber on. Okay, now we've got Montana Fly, Ostrich, in fluorescent pink, and hot orange. Cool little color combo. Alright, now that we've got the ostrich in, we're just going to spread it out. I know this is going to be hard to see on camera, but what I do is I hold the loop with the spinner in my left hand, and then I use the bodkin to go ahead and grab each individual ostrich fiber, if you will, and just kind of bring it down the dubbing loop a little ways. And it doesn't have to be spread out a ton, but it needs to be spread out more than it currently is, and I'm just kind of working it. There we go. Take your time. This is pretty important part of the process. And it's so that they don't get trapped when you go ahead and spin it. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna hold it, pinch it again, just like I did with the fox. This time I'm gonna make sure my fox is out of the way, and then I'm gonna spin it. Just kind of picking it out as it spins, making sure nothing gets trapped. And you can always just kind of grab them, and you know, it's not fully spun up to where you can't manipulate them. That was a big word for me, man. Lapine High School. That's, you know, I did get educated very well, I feel like, for being in a small town. I'm still dumb though. That doesn't change that fact, unfortunately, for me. They did what they could with me. They did what they could. Can't teach dumb. That's not something you can teach. Man, I'm so glad my kids didn't get my genes. It would really suck for them. I'm just kind of pulling them out. I want them a little bit longer than what they currently are. And sometimes when you spin these in, they again, good time to fast forward, but when you spin these bad boys in, they end up kind of sucking into the loop a little bit and not being quite as long. So, oh, that one pulled all the way out, but that's okay. I got plenty of pink. Alright, I'm gonna just move my fox, spin it in.
How was date night?
Oh, dude, it was awesome.
Where'd you guys go?
You know where 1847 is?
Uh-huh.
It's like the one really, really nice place in Lebanon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to just trim this up a little bit. Trim the stems off. Trim, 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 trim. And then I'm gonna treat it like a hackle. Hackle that bad boy in there. Right up against the fox. Tie right on top of those stems, and it'll stay up against the fox, and then you can kind of trim the stems back a little bit more if you want to. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. That ain't going anywhere. Okay, Just going to throw some dumbbell eyes on. I'm going with the silver. You know, you do whatever you want. You could put white on there. You could put the aqua fly eyes on there. Those are cool. I'm going to tie them in at the bottom. And just kind of go over the top. Eventually working your way into a figure 8 style. I like these particular heavy lead eyes because they stay really well on the tubes, and they're just easy to work with for that reason. Okay. There's a decent amount of flash in this fly. You can see it. Right now would be a good time to put some flash on if you wanted to, some Flashabou or crystal flash, something like that. But I'm pretty happy with the mylar on the body, and then that ripple ice is definitely comes through in the water really well. So silver pheasant, one of my favorites. It's a really pretty finished feather, and that's why I use it. I like pretty things. What can I say? Okay, just gonna tie it right on top there, and I'm gonna bend this stem back. And I will say it's probably not the most durable feather, so you can kind of, I mean, it's come off on me a couple of times, which has been disappointing, but I'm not giving up on her because it's pretty, and it probably definitely has more to do with me than the actual feather. Just one wrap right after the other. I use the whole feather, and I like a little bit longer feather for this. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to hold it down there. Grab the stem. Come back over with my left hand. Okay, this is kind of the key. I really think this is the key part of this, what I've been learning about this feather and this fly, is at this point, make sure you wrap that bad boy down really good. Okay, there we go. Come in with a dubbing brush so that you can spread those silver pheasant fibers out a little bit, and they don't stick together. They look really nice when they're not stuck together. She's a swimmer. This is a good time to talk about tubes in general. I'm honestly at the point where I'm really fishing almost nothing but tubes. I'm just really digging how they kind of stay where I want them to stay and do what I want them to do. You can weight them. I've already mentioned that. You know, those tungsten raw weights. I'm just gonna whip finish here. Those tungsten raw weights are awesome. I would highly suggest getting a pack of the tungsten raw weights, if not 2 or 3 packs, just depending on how you want them weighted. I'm whip finishing 3 times because you saw how long and irritating this fly can be. Hopefully it didn't irritate you too much, but hey. Yeah. So that's the end of it. I guess I can show you how I cut it. These are razor scissors. Cutting it with a standard razor is a better idea. But I'm looking for a lighter. Oh, I have a compadre who can throw it to me. Sweet. anyhow, light that bad boy up, the blue part of the flame. And then I put it right back on the needle the opposite way. And I'll glue it later, but that's it right there. There you go. Sweet bug. If you have a name for this fly, let us know, because we don't have a name for it. So that'd be awesome. Name it for us. Thanks, guys.